Hello and welcome to the D3 podcast. This is your host, Matt, joined as always by Kevin, John, and Sam. How's it going, boys?
Good.
Yeah, good.
Better than the Clippers.
Good.
Yeah.
A little bit. I think everybody's having a better time than them. How was everybody's Christmas?
It's good. Good.
Yeah. True. Got my 37th Spurs shirt, so I'm happy. Good. I'm set.
Yeah. Why aren't you wearing a Spurs shirt, Sam?
Huh?
Why aren't you wearing that?
It's been used too many times. I've been wearing it for too long already. Too long.
I feel that. So we've on today's episode of the D3 podcast, we have some news and fun facts. We have some good or bad on some key player extensions, and we just have our regular bullshit that we go on every day. So why don't we get into it? On the first thing, the most important part of the news for today, well, not today, but it's already happened. Rockets OKC game was canceled due to a lot of COVID cases. Clearly, they were supposed to be playing a little bit earlier, but now, they were supposed to play earlier, but because of all these COVID cases, they kind of got fucked up. So, Sam, why don't we start with you? Initial thoughts.
It's kind of like, this reminds me of the Broncos situation when they had 3 quarterbacks in the same room, and then they're like, you're not supposed to do that. This is what it reminds me. It's like, you probably shouldn't have this many people that close together where you don't even have 8 people to play. Like, that's ridiculous at this point. So I'm not surprised. I do feel like a lot of blame was put on James Harden, even though he wasn't the rat in this case. So,
yeah, very surprising.
I think the only thing I'm disappointed was, well, 2 things. James Harden is still not traded, and then I miss my boy SGA. All right, he hasn't played yet. I mean, he just played recently, but it would have been a great game to see. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and John, why don't we go on to you next? How do you feel about the Rockets moving forward? I know, obviously, this wasn't James Harden's fault, so that must be nice for you to hear. How are you feeling about the Rockets right now?
Man, as currently constructed, pretty good. Did you know that James Harden is capable of putting up like 44 points and 17 assists in a game? Did you know that?
Yeah,
after showing up after hanging out at strip clubs in Vegas all off season, he just like walked onto the court and did that? That's maybe he's worth a little more than Karis LeVert after all, I guess. Maybe he is better than Tyler Hero. That's so interesting that worked out that way. I think, look, the Rockets, with like 8 active players that they barely had like the minimum amount of players to run out against Portland, gave us the best game we've had in this short season. And like, James Harden is an incredible basketball player. He proved that. Christian Wood is amazing. He did everything that I thought he could do and more. It's actually crazy how good his ball handling is for a center, because I don't think I've ever heard like a story about him having like a crazy growth spurt where he was like a guard in high school and then just grew a bunch. Like, he's just a center who can like handle the ball like Anthony Davis. Like, it's just crazy. Like, I don't know, man. The Rockets like actually do seem really promising, but it's all gonna kind of fall again, like as it has been the case. It just depends on what happens to James Harden. Like, that's the thing. And now I'm like, after this game, I think we all are reminded, like, I don't know how you can get good value for someone who's that good.
Yeah, I think there was a huge over-exaggeration on Tyler Hero. There's definitely some recency bias as far as his value. And I think it also played into a little bit of like the Heat itself being just like, we're as confused as the rest of the league on what the hell Harden's doing. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to give up too much just in case he kind of falls out of the face of the earth or some shit like that. Kevin, what are your thoughts on the on James Harden and his incredible game? Just same old, same old?
I mean, it's kind of what we've expected of James Harden up until this point, you know? Like, he comes out of nowhere. We don't see him for a while, and he comes out and puts up this obnoxious stat line of like, he's still a top 5 player in the NBA right now. And I don't think there's anyone that can argue against that. I think he's coming out and being like, hey, y'all were giving me shit for going to strip clubs and doing whatever I want to do. Well, I'm going to prove to you that has no impact on my actual game at all. I'm impressed. But you also got to shout out CJ in that game against Portland, like 44 points in 44 minutes. The man was on fire. He was doing everything. He was making every shot. He's looking clean. Both him and Dame, obviously, on their game. I think they scored combined 76 together. There's no other duo like him. We say it all the time, but there's no other duo like him. And to see them play against James Harden, awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think our fantasy league gave CJ McCollum a little bit underwhelming proportions for the poor guy.
No, not me though. Okay,
yeah.
We got CJ in the bag. CJ's in the bag. Okay. CJ balled out. I told you guys day one, CJ was going to ball out. Yes, I picked him late, but I just assumed that no one's going to take him. So I'm like, I'm the one that loves CJ at this point. But CJ balls up. When Dame did show up, but comparative wise, CJ was the one that was dropping his buckets at that point. So, I'm still confused why you guys are getting shade to this Portland Trailblazers team. This is the most consistent team probably in the NBA in terms of relative team. Like, they're still together for this long. I don't know why you guys are bashing them. I mean, Kevin, you had the Warriors around at 6. Like, what are we talking about here? They're missing 2 of their big key stars. They have no bench. What are we talking here? Come on.
Well, I mean, Portland almost lost to James Harden, Christian Wood, and a bunch of also-rans. Like, a bunch of fucking two-way G-leaguers. Like,
I mean, hey, one's got an MVP, and he still can. Holding L's. That's all you got to say.
Holding L's. Absolutely. Why don't we move on to the next and most exciting news?
Wait, sorry. Let me really quickly just add. I think that, I just need to stay consistent on one thing. And it's like, James Harden is still being an ass, and he needs to stop going out and doing dumb shit in the middle of a pandemic. It's fucking ridiculous. But again, very good at basketball.
The brains does not exactly match the bronze at this
point. This man can buy COVID. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
As Steph Curry might say, some people need to have better basketball IQ.
Yeah.
Just saying. Why don't we move on to the next very, very fun news? I think this is the most important news out of anything that's ever happened ever in basketball history. Reggie Bullock of the Knicks ran out wearing number 23 on the front of his jersey and number 25 on the back. John, is this good or bad as far as content?
It's great. This is what the league needs. This is I can't think of anything more Knicks than that moment that encapsulates like the past 2 decades of this franchise all in one ridiculously stupid, impossible miss. How do you even come out with a jersey? How do they print that jersey and not notice that mistake? It's just it's insane. It's insane that it happened, and I'm thrilled about it. I'm absolutely thrilled about it. Thank you. Merry Christmas from the Knicks. Thank you very much.
Good move or bad move, Sam?
I think it's a good. It's not a good. It's nothing. Nothing's good. It's sadness. I think this just confirms that they're going to go 0 for 72. I'm pretty sure the first winless team ever in history. I feel bad for Tom Thibodeau, my boy, the only guy that I'll probably support throughout this Knicks organization. Man is going to light this place on fire. I'm just going to tell you that. I can tell you. They're just going to rebuild the Bulls somehow. They're going to do it again and again and again. That's how Tom Thibodeau's strategy was working, because Derrick Rose was his glory times. Sadly injured, immediately fell apart. He's just still stuck in his glory days. So hopefully he gets out of that, and hopefully he doesn't have to remake a Joakim Noah presence back in New York.
I don't think we need to worry about that too soon, hopefully. Kevin, as your regards, I know that you clearly like the Warriors very, very much. Do you think the Knicks are also going to be a 6th seed? I'm trying to figure out
all right.
All
right. I think I might be changing my tune after watching the Warriors play a little bit. Hey,
Yeah.
that was the whole point of that segment was too early predictions, I believe. So
Too early
clearly
predictions, but we gotta
the
shit on
Warriors
you.
was a little too early.
We gotta shit on you when it falls. We gotta shit on you when you fail a little bit.
Yeah, just like I got to shit on Paul George when he fails. So,
And we'll be getting into that very shortly, eventually. not shortly, but we'll be getting into that one. Look, recently we were all super pumped for the Christmas Day basketball games. I know I was. I know we all were. A little disappointing. It was a little disappointing. I'm not gonna lie, and I wouldn't necessarily say that like disappointing in the fact of like, oh, these games were like bad. They were just blowouts. They were just utter blowouts. Like, I mean, I don't know. In my opinion, I don't think like they could have been as bad as the Mavericks and the Clippers, but they were still bad. They were still pretty bad. So, John, your initial thoughts on the Christmas Day games? What do you think's going on?
Yeah, I think that I think we're seeing a lot of rust. Granted, like in Steph Curry's case, I think he has historically underperformed on Christmas. But I think for the rest, I think, that was a lot of teams. I think second game, right? For the most part, they're just all figuring themselves out, and it's unfortunate that it had to happen on the Christmas Day games because those are such a fun tradition, and all of the games were pretty terrible, and it was just I'm glad. I'm excited to move forward. It was tough. It was a tough Christmas Day for the NBA.
I agree. We're just gonna go around the podcast right now. John, what was your favorite game
on Christmas?
Yeah. You had to choose.
I liked. I didn't like. Okay, maybe the Clippers and the Nuggets actually. I actually like that a little bit, but I think that's only a little bit because I'm just so secondhand embarrassed for what happened today with the Clippers that I just have to give them some props for what they did, I guess.
That's fair. Sam, what do you got?
I think the game I was really hyped for was just the Mavs Lakers one. It was a very good first quarter match, and then it was just an Anthony Davis show. It was just I mean, we know we talk about it a lot, but they have a really good ultimate bench at the end of the day. When you have Marc Gasol, Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, it's a very solid people you can rely on when LeBron and or Anthony Davis is gone. But I think in terms of just I guess overall, I like the Nets Celtics. I think that was the most intense anticipated in my opinion, just in terms of who's going to be the juggernaut of the East, with some doubt coming from Milwaukee. Once again, that was a first half game, so it was just I'm just gonna change the channel and watch Christmas Carol 20% at that point. So yeah, absolutely go Nets Celtics. That was pretty fun.
All right, Kevin.
I definitely like Nets Celtics for sure, just because seeing KD and Kyrie again play really, really well and score 70 points combined it's just fun to watch. But I think for me, the game I had kind of the lowest expectations for and the one I enjoyed the most was the Pelicans Heat game.
Yeah.
I think it was within 10 points for basically the whole game. And I think the Pelicans put up a really good fight against a really good Heat team. Zion played really well. Ingram was looking good. And they had a lot of stupid mistakes, turnovers and stuff like that. But overall, it was a really fun back and forth game that was pretty close the whole time.
Yeah, I agree. I actually liked that one the most, and it was essentially just because it was really fun watching Zion play. I always enjoy watching him play, and it was kind of nice to see the Heat pull out another win. And I was a little nervous just because Jimmy Butler got hurt, and I was like, no, not Mr. Buckets. But they showed up, they killed it. Duncan Robinson was on fire. I don't know if you guys saw the animation that they did for the shots that he made and missed, but it was just little like green and red lights, like Christmas lights.
Oh, the ornaments.
And they, yeah. I thought that was really fucking cool. I don't know. I'm such a nerd when it comes to that stuff, but I was very interested in that. But all over, not the best. Milwaukee and Golden State was rough, to say the least. Yeah, I was very. It was very underwhelming, to if anything. Next part of the news: the Lakers are talking about extending, contracts with Schroeder. I think, in my opinion, at least I saw this coming. I can't imagine that he would have been a worse option than what they had last year at the point guard position. John, good move or bad move?
Oh yeah, good move. Definitely good move. He's been playing really solid for them so far. He's a pretty reliable guy now, especially starting like after that OKC year moving forward. Like he's a good point guard, worth locking up for hopefully a reasonable price. And yeah, I see no problems with this at all. Good call.
Sam?
This is a phenomenal move by the Lakers because I'm not sure why the Clippers didn't ask for Dennis Schroeder in the trade for Paul George. Like, I don't know. Like, if you give that many assets, like, you're only getting Paul George at this point. But, I mean, we've seen it already. We liked Dennis Schroeder back in OKC. Very up and down team. I mean, they had Chris Paul, which made it very surprisingly good overall with Gallinari as well. But Dennis Schroeder is a perfect fit. I said it once again before, Dennis Schroeder is what LeBron needs at this point, as someone that can be a playmaker on his own. When he's not in the game, and they actually have a point guard for once, to be honest. I like Rajon Rondo, but I think we all saw that he was going to be washed up very soon. So this is a solid move by the Lakers.
Agreed. And Kevin?
I mean, I said, I think last week on the pod, I think he was one of the best pickups just in all around this season so far. So I think great fit for the team. Gotta secure him while you got him. Don't let him get away from you like the Clippers.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we can all shit on the Clippers a little bit after today, as if we don't do that enough. So, moving on from the Lakers a little bit, I think I did mention that Steph Curry, he has a very, very good demeanor and seems like a decent enough guy, but he's not very happy. Understandably so. I don't think I'd be very happy if I was Steph Curry on the Warriors right now. So, in his opinion, he said that we need to win soon. I'm not going to go around and say this. I think it's very obvious that they need to win after all of the horrible games that they've had. I will say that they probably are going to win tonight against the Bulls. I mean, like, if they don't beat the Bulls, I don't know what to say anymore. I really don't. So why don't we go on to a little bit more in-depth news? Marquise Chris, he broke his fibula, and he is out for the season. I don't know if you guys know what kind of injury that is. It's rough. It is not good. That shit hurts. And now we're looking at James Wiseman as having a little bit more responsibility. John, do you think he's up for the challenge, and do you think he's going to be able to really show up this year?
I mean, Draymond Green, it was either Draymond or Steve Kerr had a quote. They were like, man, like, you see what James Wiseman is doing out there right now, and he has literally no idea what he's doing. Like, imagine what's going to happen when he figures it out. Like, I think that's just the case, is James Wiseman has no clue what's going on right now, but he's just such a naturally skilled player that, like, he's letting that carry him at the moment. It's tough. They really cannot afford to lose any depth right now. And Marcus Chris was actually, like, really solid for them at that position, like, just as depth. Like, I don't think it's bad. It's not good news, and they still don't have Draymond yet. I like Wiseman, and he's looked really good. It's just like he's not a guy who's like going to be capable of being like a defensive anchor for them right now. But he'll have plenty of highlights because he's just so physically dominant and like is skilled. It's just like, ugh, like this is tough. Like they just can't afford to lose guys. Like,
yeah, for all the teams that definitely need to keep their players healthy, I think Golden State is 100% up there, top 5. I think at this point, it's kind of like do you even really try because of all the injuries that you've had and from how the team looks? I'm not 100% sure. Sam, how are you feeling? Do you think the Warriors need to blow it up again?
Look, if I'm back-to-back MVP, 4-time champion, I need to make the moves now. I just got brand new arena. I'm going to have to attract fans somehow, and I don't want to see Juan Henderson play 30 minutes again. It's not an interesting name to watch.
At 95 for his number, which is disgusting.
Yeah, if I'm a referee, like I don't even want this guy in. I'm like, how do you even show this at this point? Like, it's just more of a nuisance. It's just not fun. I think Curry deserves way more for what he's given to the franchise. I know the franchise has been very patient with him, but I'm just saying when you bring this many trophies, you only expect to get better and better along and grow with your superstar. James Wiseman is a phenomenal pick. He actually may not be the right fit for this roster just because they need more right now compared to waiting in the next 2-3 years. I'm not sure if you guys think, but do you think if Clay was healthy, we would be talking about this? Because I don't think we would. I think we would just be forgetting about this. If it was 2 losses and they're probably like maybe at least 15-point difference, then we'd be like, okay, it's fine. It's a normal Warriors. They're just probably getting back at it with Curry injured, Draymond, and Clay. But without Clay, and to be honest, I don't think he'll be the same Clay. He's not going to be able to run around the screens as well. And Draymond probably being very inconsistent, probably going to play like 20 games this season. Let's be real. Steph's alone out there. They need to make some real moves unless Steph's going to start chirping and say, "Oh, Bob Myers, get me a guy that can play." Yeah. And to me, you should trade that pick as soon as you got it. You should just trade it. Get Bradley Beal. Get someone that can score on their own at that point. So there's something to be of issue. But I think we all know. I think Curry is like a Giannis, pretty humble dudes. So I don't think there's anything to worry right now. But if the losses keep going and going and keep stacking, then it's going to be a big issue.
Moving forward, just really quickly, is this a thumbs up or thumbs down on James Wiseman? Because I think you and I are pretty much the same as far as wanting big men to dominate the league once again. Love our big men, love Mr. Tim Duncan and such. How you feeling about James Wiseman's play? Just really quickly.
I'm gonna give props for the shoes he has to fill in, so I'll give him an up on that. But I don't want this guy shooting. I don't know why we're keeping this guy shoot. He should be very. Yeah, I prefer this guy playing in the paint. This guy could be so dominant in the paint, like it's scary. Like he shouldn't be learning from someone like Kevon Looney. Like I'll be honest, like Kevon Looney is pretty like average at that point. Very good support, but James Wiseman has to be very dominant in my opinion. I'm just saying when you're 7'3", you should be Boban at this point. Right? Boban just stays in the paint, chills and dunks. He got the occasional 3, but I think he should play the Anthony Davis role. Obviously, we all want to play like Anthony Davis, but Anthony Davis should be an X factor at the 3. But I think Anthony Davis is scarier in the paint and the block, or when he has that fadeaway mid-range. Like, you cannot stop that. That's some Dirk-level shit. So I like that James Wiseman is confident with taking the shot. I just think he can be even more dominant when he's just in the paint, when there's actually no other centers in the league that can probably guard him at this point. I mean, there's a few, like, 5'6" centers in the league, but dude's 7'3". Once again, James Harden's word. It's easy being tall, right?
Yeah. Okay, that's where I was confused on, because I definitely agree that he should probably play more center in that position, just because he needs to kind of, I wouldn't say perfect, but he definitely needs to get better at that spot, especially when you're a rookie. But the dude, I mean, it's not the cleanest shot, but he made 2 threes, which is great. You love to see it, and I love it at least. And if we're talking about the Anthony Davis role, you kind of need to be able to shoot threes, especially in today's NBA. So I do agree. James Wiseman should probably focus more on his in paint skill, if you will. But I don't know. I feel like keeping him in the center is probably going to do more harm than good in the long run. But that's just me. Kevin, Sam did.
I think I also like to add just real quick. I think going along John's point, I think the biggest issue is this man has no defensive presence in the paint. Like, people are not scared of this man. I'm just saying, 7'3". That's literally 2 feet over me at this point. Like, I should be terrified at this point. And against most average players, you got a guaranteed foot over him. Like, you should be a presence in terms of defense. And that's, I guess, what I want more from Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I think for him, it's just like he hasn't played he's played like 3 games of basketball in the past like
Mhm.
2 years. Like that's like going to be the hardest part for him to learn is like how to actually be an effective defensive player. Like it's going to take time. I think he'll get there. I'm just like right now he is like not. He's just not there. Like
Yeah, and that's understandably so. Like we said before, this rookie class, they did not have that much time to really prepare themselves. And James Wiseman is on the top of that list. He did not have a whole lot of time to really be ready. And like you said, John, he doesn't really know what he's doing, but he's doing it. He doesn't know what he's doing, but he's doing it.
Okay. Also, quick side note: am I the only one that knows, like, acknowledges that, like, almost every player has a cornrows now? Like, they all have cornrows for some reason. Is everyone trying to channel like an inner Kawhi Leonard at this point? Like, let's be honest, Kawhi Leonard is the only one that can rock it since AI. Okay, like I'm sorry, not everyone's just posing at this point. It's just I don't know. I just thought it's super weird.
Kevin, are you getting cornrows?
So Kevin, I will pay for your cornrows, please.
I don't think I have enough hair to.
If we get 100 likes, Kevin will get cornrows.
That is not something I'm agreeing to.
It's okay, you didn't need to. So
moving forward, Kevin, we did mention talking about trading and maybe some moves that Warriors could do. Timberwolves, they're not looking so good. Do you think this is a good opportunity for the Warriors to maybe package Wiggins and some other people, or should they hold on the pick for a loaded draft? They have a pick. The pick that they have is a top 3 protected, and then it becomes unprotected in 2022.
For me, I think I'm more in a mindset of they got Wiseman in this draft at a really high spot. Really good player, good fit for them. I think I definitely has some work to do, but they have a solid number of really good players. But I think they just need a couple more bench players, especially. So I think you sell, you try and package your Wiggins and your picks, and then try and get a good, like 2 or 3 bench-ish players to kind of just flesh out the rest of your lineup so that you can have some defense, so that you can have some depth on the coming off of the bench. So you're not going out there and in the second quarter getting absolutely demolished or something like that. Like they just need to flesh out their team a little bit. And I think that'll take them to where they want to be. They're really close right now, but not quite there yet. And I don't think waiting for a loaded draft next year or the year after is the move.
That's fair. That's totally fair. John, do you agree?
I don't think if you're gonna trade this pick, because they were trying to protect this pick more than they were the number 2 pick this year that was Wiseman. So like if you're getting rid of this pick, it needs to be for like someone who can legitimately like take it. You're paying for like a ceiling raiser, not a floor raiser, if you're packaging this pick. Like you got to have someone who can step in and like fill in for Clay basically this year, not necessarily in the same role, but at the same like degree of talent and attention required by opposing defenses. Like, otherwise, like, I mean, look, this next draft is loaded like through the top like 7 like guys in this draft, and then like the draft after that is also supposed to apparently be quite good. So I don't know, like if you can't find a worthy replacement, then maybe you do just kind of decide to suck it up and deal with it. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think this pick is going somewhere, but I just don't know who's available yet. Like that's the thing. But they need something. I think that they're like in a difficult spot unless like Steph just once Steph finds his shot, it might be different. But like right now it's bleak. Like,
yeah, I definitely agree. Sam, if Wiggins just promises to play better and to be better, do you think that's enough?
Wiggins, what a story. We all remember that this man was also traded to get Kevin Love so we can rebuild the big 3 in Cleveland. Like the amount of hope that we all had, I thought this was going to be one of the best drafts that year when we had Jabari Parker coming in. Mm-hmm. And I realized that was the biggest mistake I've made. Like that is horrendous. Where is Jabari Parker? Who even knows at this point? Andrew Wiggins has been, I think he has like he's actually probably could be a very dominant athlete. He just doesn't do anything. He literally doesn't do anything. He just doesn't do anything. He takes the most horrendous shots possible. I actually think he's using his ability wrong. He's a true like hack and slash, like go from the corner and able to slash into the paint. That's his pure role. Like this guy could be so dominant on this Warriors team, but they're too much preaching on this 3-point shooting game, which is not how he should play at all. This guy is what Steph Curry wants as a playmaker and not as a shooter. He wants people to start cutting into the paint, give him some no-look passes, and have a good time at that point. That's why they got Kelly Oubre as well. They got not shooters, and they're forcing them to shoot. So that's the biggest mistake this Warriors team is making. And it's the first time Steve Kerr has had that coach. Let's be real at this point. So, Andrew Wiggins, you deserve actually way better. I think you're in bad systems, actually. You're just running really horrible systems that don't know how to use your potential.
Fair enough. You know what, Kevin? I know your boy Ja Morant, my boy Zion, they both had really, really big games in these losses. Which one's going to have the better year, do you think?
I'm actually torn on this. My instinct says Ja. My gut goes with Ja. I think he's gonna kind of take that next step, kind of like we saw with both, I think, Trey and Luka. They both kind of the year after they started, they really like found their role and they sat in it and they did their role to a T. And I think Ja's going to do that. He played really, really well last year, but I think he's going to have an even better year this year. I think he knows his role. Everyone else on that team knows his role too. They know he was Rookie of the Year. They know what he does. And I think they're going to play around him, and I think that's awesome. Zion, if he can play a whole season and stay healthy, I think he's going to be putting up double-double numbers almost every night and doing some work.
Absolutely.
But I'm scared for his health.
Yeah, I think we're all a little scared for his health. But so far, he looks good. So why don't we put the injury-prone thing on the back burner right now? Let's move on. Ja Morant, he did have first game that he played of the season, 44 points. John, is Ja looking a little better than Zion? Are you with Kevin on the Ja Morant hype train? Are you thinking that Zion's going to have the year?
I love Ja Morant. He's great. He's going to be really, really good. I think that I think that Zion is going to be the better player this year and moving forward. And I don't think that that's necessarily that much of an indictment on Ja. I think that's actually just speaking to the quality of both of these players. Like, I think these guys are both, as we can clearly see, especially from Ja, they're taking big leaps right now. They just look great. And Zion, he looks like as dominant as he did offensively last year. I think that man, it's crazy that we had a draft that had Luka and Trey that one year, and then the next year we get Ja and Zion. That's just a crazy influx of talent. I think Zion will have the better year because I just have faith in him as an unprecedented game-changing athlete with degrees of different guys that we've seen, but never anyone exactly like him. Not even quite like Chuck, but a little bit. Also, Zion's playing in 2 minutes. I think that game starts, so we'll hold out and see what happens there. But I'd pick Zion. I think that he just does. He's just so unstoppable. He's just so physically he scores all his points within 5 feet of the basket just because there's no reason not to.
He's a bulldozer. He's an absolute bulldozer, and he will fuck you up. Sam, are you riding the Ja train or the Zion hype train?
I think I have to go with Ja. I just think the way this guy has been playing has been out of this world. I think for someone that had so much doubt behind him, just because it was just overshadowed by the Zion train. Nothing bad about it. It's just just kind of sucks at that point. But I think he's really making a name for himself, and I think it helps when you don't have all-star talent on your roster too. You're able to be the quote-unquote ball hogger at that point, right? Someone that's also reliable. It's a little different than Russell Westbrook. He has very Russell Westbrook-esque gameplay, which I kind of like. But the way he cuts into the paint is scary because he's going to get an and one every time at that point. But what we see from Zion is great improvement. I mean, especially when you come back physically strong. The offensive juggernaut that he can be is going to be unreal. I think both are still pretty bad at defense, which will be a very big thing to see, especially from Zion, just in terms of the guys he's going to be guarding. He's going to be guarding like a Joel Embiid at some point. He's going to be guarding some of these bigger guys. It'll be interesting to see. But I think Ja is someone that's you can be relying on to drop like a 40-point game casually there here and there, whereas Zion is going to put up the stats, but he has a Brandon Ingram. He has someone that's going to – he's not a playmaker himself, I guess you can say, compared to like John Moran. But I'm just excited. Just both of these guys, it's going to be a fun season. I can tell you that.
Also, just to talk about injury risk real quick, like as someone who's suffered through like Derrick Rose related PTSD, I just have to say like Ja does scare the shit out of me. I hope nothing happens to him. I think that obviously Zion, just because of his history, is more of an injury risk. But like the way that Ja plays, like is so like athletic and bouncy and fast that it's just like sometimes I just get like freaked out by how fucking high and far he jumps. I'm like, yo, like, please stick that landing. Like, it was, like,
yeah, that's terrifying. I don't want anything bad to happen as far as a Derrick Rose injury to anybody, especially Ja. I didn't even realize that. That's oh god, that's now.
He'll probably be fine. He'll probably be fine. It's just like it always lingers in the back of my brain when I see these like crazy athletic point guards. I'm like oh god, like ooh, been there. Like
yeah, it's like whenever I see KD fall after he takes a shot or something, it's just like oh no. It's like please no, not again. Just to finish this round off, I will be riding the Zion hype train. I need to stick on brand at this point. Although I did trade Zion to John in our fantasy league, and I do have Ja on my team, which he will be staying on my team for a very long time. I gotta stick with Zion. I really like him. I really like the way he plays. I swear to God, in both the games I watched with him, it was 1v3 in the paint, and he won. Like, Jesus Christ. The dude's a tank. And that's just a lot of fun to watch. So, into our last segment of the episode, we're going to go into a good move or bad move for these player extensions. And I do want to say key player extensions. We're not going to talk about Kyle Kuzma. We talked about him enough last episode. So we're going to start off the show with Markelle Fultz, 3-year, $50 million deal. Now, boys, I do want to mention really quickly, why don't we try and keep our conversation of this a little bit shorter just so we can run through it. Markelle Fultz. I don't think any of us really expected this. I mean, get your money, bro. He did have that smooth-ass pass that I think there was a highlight of him, just a behind-the-back pass when he was in the paint. John, do you think this is a good move or bad move?
I'm going good move. I love Markelle. I really hope this is like the beginning of a really good career for him. Like, I hope he can start to reach some of his potential. He's actually looked pretty, if you watch him, he's actually looked all right. I'm not going to talk too much longer, but like, he's actually looked pretty good. And I think like 3 years, 50 million seems like a big number to like us normal humans, but like, it's not that crazy of a commitment compared to like some of the stuff that we'll talk about later. So like, I think this is a good move.
I agree. And I do want to say, after the horrible year that he had on the 76ers, he does look much better. He does look a lot better. He looks more confident, and he's definitely more of a playmaker than I think anybody really, than what we were seeing on the 76ers. Sam, is this a good move or bad move?
This is a bad move by the Philadelphia 76ers because they should not have traded up for Markelle Fultz. I can tell you that. Look, I'm saying when you're number one pick and you're terrified to shoot at that point, sure, it's a running history with the 76ers with Ben Simmons as well. But relative to what you're saying, John, I agree. It's not much. The guy got his bag too for something. I don't know what he really did. Like his stats are very average. They're really like 14 points a game. Like I'd rather just pay Cole Anthony at that point. I'm not sure why you want to pay a guard that probably should be a six man, if anything. I really don't think he's a starter in my opinion, but it is the Orlando Magic. And maybe they just want some sort of identity or consistency maybe at this point. I mean, the only thing consistent about the Magic is they're bad. So I'm say bad call. I'm bad calling this.
All right, Kevin?
I think I'm going to go with my gut on this one. My gut agrees with Sam. I think it's a bad move. I think You're right. He is looking better. And I want him to be what we all expected him to be, but I don't see him being there yet consistently enough. I think he's just a very average player. And yeah, this isn't that much money, but if I were them, I wouldn't have signed him for even 3 years. I think I don't know.
He's just
I think
still
the one
so young.
the one good thing to come out of this is he makes Aaron Gordon look better. So
Imagine a Magic player actually having like progression year to year. Like
I will be making this a split. I think this is a good move for the Magic. They definitely need some sort of identity. I don't think Markelle Fultz is that identity, but I do like his progression so far. I'm going to bet on him. I'll bet on him, and maybe I eat my words. Who knows? This next player, I think we're all going to be very consistent with. I have a feeling. John, we'll start with you. Luke Canard, 4 years, $64 million.
I'll be quick because I don't have the harshest words to say about this. It is a bad move. He's better than what we saw tonight, but he's not. I don't think he's worth this contract, and he's gonna have to really prove that he is because it's like.
I do want to mention that we will be talking about this aforementioned game in their newest segment at the end of the show. So hold on tight for that one. Sam, is this a good move or bad move?
Bad move. Pass it to Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin, is this a good move or bad move?
every move the Clippers make is a bad move. This is no exception. That's it.
Look, there's a reason why Kawhi hasn't got the extension yet, all right? That's all I'm saying.
Let's be nice to Kawhi. He did get an elbow to the face by his own team.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't it by Serge?
I'm just saying, I would rather be elbow to the face than experience that loss they had. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I feel bad for the guy. I'm not going to lie. Things are kind of blowing up in his face. This is clearly a bad move. Next player, OG Anunoby, 4 years, $72 million. Yes, I know what I said. I said Anunoby. He does not have an L in his name. I just can't speak words, apparently. John, is this a good move or bad move?
I think this is a good move. It's, obviously, like, offensively, there's a lot to be left desired right now with him. But, like, defensively, he's, like, one of the best defensive threes in the league. And he's really switchable, and he's still really young. I think that, like, locking him up for this price, which is, like, not a max contract, so it's not, like, too much money, is a good move. He's, like, a good part of their core. Way to go, Toronto, like, respecting your guys and giving them their money when they earn it.
Sam?
Was that some subtle shade to DeMar DeRozan? That's what I'm getting at. There's a reason they call him OG, original gangsta at this point, all right? OG's my boy. Going along those lines, I think Toronto did a good job snagging a pretty good on-ball defender. I don't know if you've seen some of his blocks from last season, but this guy can ball out on defense. We all saw him make the God-tier shot from that Kyle Lowry pass from Taco Bell. You can't forget about that. But this is a great move by the Raptors, especially losing like Ibaka and Marc Gasol. You're losing a lot of what was part of your core, and now you're just rebuilding it again with the guys you got. So I'm for this.
Fair enough. Kevin?
I agree with everything said. I think especially the fact of, like, he's proven himself that he's a good defender for the Raptors before, and now they're giving him his money, and I think he's due it. I love to see it, and I think he'll continue to be that defensive presence on that team, and I think they desperately need that right now. So, I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I'm going to just finish this off. I don't really have much to say about him. It is definitely a good move. Defensive-wise, he is very solid. Why don't we get to the next one? Derek White, 4 years, $73 million. John, what you got?
I'm going to defer to Sam on this one. It seems okay. They have a lot of point guards. Sam, you go.
Look, I'm pro White here. Not pro White. I came out wrong. But Derek White been very consistent in terms of his growth over these 2 years. The place where I was working at, there was a hotel guest. He actually taught Derek White, and he was like, "Yo, this guy is like a solid person, a solid human." And what a better organization to be in, the San Antonio Spurs. So like hometown kid, probably soon to be. But it's questionable when you're signing DeJounte Murray to an extension. Probably going to sign Lonnie Walker to an extension. You're just adding guards and guard. You got Patty Mills as well. So there is some question, but at this point, anything is good. Anyone that wants to stay in San Antonio is good. Look, you can come to my place. I'll get you enchiladas. Well, we're good for life, all right? Like, what else do you need? You need enchiladas, basketball. We're good. I'm good. I'm good with this deal.
I am for the enchiladas. I'm gonna say that's a good move. Solely based on that. Kevin, what you got?
I think it's a good move. I think I actually picked up Derek White, I think in fantasy last year, off of the waivers, and that's kind of how I knew him, because before that I really didn't pay attention to him at all. No, I like what I've seen from him. I think he's going to continue to be a good part of the Spurs team, and I think he's kind of like OG, where he kind of plays a little bit of two-way, a little bit. He's not a big offensive threat. He's not a perfect player by any means, but I think he adds more depth to that team, although they got to chill with the guards. They got to reel it back a bit. Stop signing every single guard you have, which is like 8. Stop it.
It's a little bit much. I won't lie. I'm definitely going to be on you for that one. That's for sure. I'm just going to go ahead and say good move. Again, not a whole lot of knowledge of Derek White, but you know what? If Sam likes him, then I guess I like him. Next player is Jonathan Isaac, and I do want to start this one out. Personally, I think this is a good deal. This is 4 years for $80 million, and the only reason why is because he is a monster defensive player. When we saw him healthy before his injury, of course, so who knows what's going to happen after the injury once he comes back. I honestly think that he has the potential to be the face of the Magic, which it's not really saying much. I'm not going to lie. That's really not saying much. But I do really like Jonathan Isaac as a player. Based off of how he played, I think it's a good deal. This injury might have pushed the dollar a little bit too high because of the injury, though. Knee injuries are not good when it comes to basketball. Knee injuries aren't good for a lot of sports. Who would have thought? But overall, I do like it. John, how do you feel?
I'm a little less certain this is a good idea. He was everything you said he was, and then his leg fully exploded, and it was bad. Like, he tore a lot of ligaments. Like, it's for a player, like, and he's got a lot of great length, but he is like a very athletic player. I wonder how this will impact him coming back, especially as someone who really only does have an impact on the defensive end. Granted, it is a very big impact. It's good that it's kind that they did this because of the injury, but it's just like, man, I really hope that he comes back and is like the same player. I'm just like not sure. I don't know. I'm a little on the fence on this one.
Okay, that's fair. Sam, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm a little bit on the fence. Glad he got the bag. I think if he was healthy, he probably would have got some actually big money, to be honest. I think he was a great presence for this team, and actually was probably the only most consistent player on this team at that point. Sadly, he's going to be missing almost like 2 seasons at this point. It's John Wall factor coming in at this point. I think it's a bad call. I think that you could have done a lot more if you're the Magic in terms of anything. Like, I think there's just trade pieces you can do with Aaron Gordon, because you just signed everyone to a max. You got Vucevic on a max. You got almost near max, and then Aaron Gordon got some of the bag as well. You signed Markelle Fultz, who I'm just not sure what the identity is. Like, just trying to build an all-around team that gets a 7th seed again. Like, what are we doing at this point? But I'm glad he got the money. To me, it's like Victor Oladipo at this point. Like, how much can we trust him? And hopefully he proves us wrong. So right now I'm saying bad deal.
Kevin?
I agree with Sam 100%. I think it's just such a big question mark right now to give him that much money, that if you're looking at it from, I think which kind of have to, the business side of it, I think it's a bad move because it's just an unknown right now. But I think it's good that they did give him that after what happened. I think it's awesome that they are respecting their players, actually. I think that's a net positive. But if I'm the front office, I'm a little scared because again, it's just a complete unknown if he's going to come back and if he's even going to be 85-90% of what he was, or is he going to be 60% of what he was or less, or is he going to just injure himself again? Like, it's just such a big what if, and that's a lot of money guaranteed to him now.
Going on to the next one. No love for Lauri Markkanen or Jarrett Allen. I think really quickly, I have a feeling that we are all the same on Jarrett Allen. So I'm going to start off with him. John, how you feeling about it?
Oh, I actually think it's insane that he didn't get a contract extension from them. I think that's nuts because they're still splitting minutes with him and DeAndre Jordan like it's fucking 2013. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it's a little silly. I understand maybe the price tag was too high. Maybe they were like, we don't know if he's even going to be on the team, if we're going to try and trade for James Harden or something. I don't know. But, like, I think Jarrett Allen has proved that he's, like, a solid player. And if you could get him for the price tag of, like, one of the extensions that we've seen listed above here, like, I think that's totally, like, a fair price for a guy who can contribute at that level. Maybe I'm missing something. It's not like I don't know, but, like, it was weird to me that he didn't get an extension. I guess we'll see what happens. Like, I don't know. I don't get it, frankly.
Yeah, it is a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. Sam, how you feeling?
Yo, Jarrett, I'm very confused with why people dislike Jarrett Allen. This guy's actually like very good defensive presence, like especially way better than DeAndre Jordan at this point. Jarrett Allen, also fellow UT Austin guy. Who else went there? LaMarcus Aldridge, Miles Turner, DJ Augustine. We're all going downhill after this, but Kevin Durant as well. But I just think Jarrett Allen is probably going to get overpaid in terms of what we think. But I think he can be a great fit for a lot of teams in general. I mean, like I was saying, the Indiana Pacers would be a great fit. You want to get rid of Miles Turner on that contract, get Jarrett Allen. At that point, you don't need a scorer. You just need defensive presence and someone that gets rebounds. Even better, maybe it's Atlanta Hawks or maybe it's the Sacramento Kings. There's a lot of teams that need him, and I'm pretty sure the Nets could use a guy like this. So very shocking.
Kevin?
I agree 100% again. I think DeAndre Jordan's washed up, and I think the Nets are delusional to not sign Jarrett Allen to a contract because DeAndre Jordan is going to fall over and have a heart attack soon with how old he is. And you might as well get Jarrett Allen as your number one center because DeAndre Jordan shouldn't be it. You should not have DeAndre Jordan in your starting lineup at this point in time anymore. Stop it.
Okay. Look, I agree. That he shouldn't be your starting center, but turn down the heat. You got to save that heat a little bit, Kevin. We don't want to go full blast quite yet.
Yeah, it's like when you're boiling water, you gotta get it heated up first, and then get the rolling boil at the end.
3-point line. He's got one more shot and he's on fire. I think that this is a bad move. And I'm going to say the same thing about Lauri. Lauri Markkanen, we talk about question marks. I think John might disagree with me on this one, but I'm not 100% sure. I like Lauri. I really, really do. He took a huge downturn, and I'm really, really hoping that changes. He stays true to his shooting. He does a great job offensively, I think. But defensively, he has so much work to do. He has not been that great on that aspect. I am wondering why the Bulls didn't extend him. I mean, it's kind of I'm a little confused about it because he is one of the faces of the Chicago Bulls right now. So that why they didn't extend his contract is a little bit confusing to me. It could just be because he did not do that well last year. So I like him, and I'll follow my bias by saying it's a bad move. I think John might have it differently from me, though.
this like physically hurts me to say, but I really don't think that they should re-sign him, especially because it sounds like he, at least not at the price point that it seems like he wants from them. I mean, we like to think he's a good shooter, but like the results are not there right now. I think his highest career 3-point percentage was like 35%. He's really disappointing at the moment, and I don't know how much we can. Maybe he'd be better in another situation. I mean, look, like the Bulls are fucking terrible. Like I'm glad we didn't have a segment on them right now because like it's fucking dark. They're really bad. Like they suck. And I love Patrick Williams. He's the new young person I get to fall in love with and overhype. But like, I don't know, man. I don't know if you need to tie yourself to Lauri Markkanen at this point. I don't know that there's like, unless we see him take a serious leap this season, I don't know what you can expect from him anymore because he's just like, he continues to not be as effective on offense as it seems like he should be because he does have like a really great stroke and he doesn't have like the worst handle. Like he has an effective handle for someone that big. And like, I think I'm okay with them not re-signing him because I don't know that I really trust Lauri long-term anymore. And I need him to prove it to me now. And that sucks because I've been a huge hype man for him since we drafted him. But yeah. I think it's really questionable.
That's fair. Sam?
I think it's a good call for Lauri because like this guy deserves more what the Chicago Bulls could have offered him, and I think because the system failed him. The system completely failed him. They don't have a playmaker that can actually play to his strengths. This guy actually can't. I mean, to be honest, like Lauri Markkanen is not that revolutionary in terms of his gameplay. He reminds me a little bit of LaMarcus Aldridge, where little less where he's not as ball dominant, but he's a guy who needs to play the post. He needs to do some of his work, eat up about 8 seconds of the shot clock. And that's not what this Bulls anything is. Like I really don't know. I'm not trying to like bash on the Bulls all the time, but it's really not a pretty sight right now. And I know Billy Donovan is just play, but these guys are getting paid quite a bit, and the owner is very stringent and might just lose one of his potentially best talents and keep someone like a Zach LaVine instead. The bag soon. Who knows? But I think Lauri's fit, which may help to John, is the Dallas Mavericks. I think this is a perfect fit for that roster. Someone where you have an actual playmaker to play along with Porzingis. Like, what else do you need at that point?
Is Lauri
good for Lauri?
Better than Maxi Kleber right now? Is that like really fucked up and rude to say? Dude, Maxi Kleber's like actually like a useful defensive player though, who can like hit corner threes. Like, I don't know what I want out of Lauri at this point. I need to see him play with a point guard. You're right. Like he has not played with an actual point guard.
All right. Kevin, really quickly, I just want to hear what you have to say, and then we are going to start our last segment.
I'll make this brief. There, no way in hell the Bulls should extend Lauri. I think the Bulls broke him a while ago, and he has not recovered since. And that is the Bulls' fault entirely. But because they had done that, if I were them, I don't want him back because, I mean, he's unfortunately broken, and put that on someone else to fix if you want to do that. Don't take that responsibility for yourself.
If you love him, let him go.
Fair enough. Last segment of the night, boys. This is some we're gonna call Into the Smoke because we're gonna be heating up. Like Kevin says, we were bubbling, and now we're boiling over. Boys, the Mavericks absolutely did illegal things to the Clippers. I really think that the police should have been called shortly after, or not even shortly after, just like for the first half. Like, it was bad to say the least. Kevin, I'm going to let you start this off.
First off, this happened during our podcast, and I just want to share this with everyone. I got a notification from Sleeper through Fantasy Basketball, and it was an alert to everyone, and it was like, hey, stop reporting this as a bug to our support team. That is the actual score. They got so many reports that there was a bug with their reported score because of how ridiculous that was. How can you not score 30 points in a half of basketball? You could throw the Bulls' deepest bench out there and they could score 30 points in there. Like, you could just have, like we were talking about, like, you could just have, 5 Lauri Markkanens out there and they'd score 30 points. Like, oh my God. How can you call yourselves professional basketball players at that point? That's just embarrassing. And Paul George wants the max contract? Get out of here. Get out of here.
Hey, Kevin, how you feeling about Paul George?
He's the most inconsistent player in the entire NBA, bar none. Bar none.
Sam, are you agreeing with this destruction?
I mean, like, it was just homicide. I mean, I'm just being real here. And to be honest, like, I don't even think the Dallas Mavericks didn't play that good. They played pretty, like, okay. Like, they just didn't have to play good. The Clippers were just so bad. Kevin, you told me they shot 12% from three? What is that, 4 for 33? That's ridiculous. Like, I don't know what made you think, like, if I shoot, like, 20 more after the 13 I miss, that you're going to make more? That's unreal. The funny thing is, I got notified from Bleacher Report saying, Paul George, after the 51-point loss, I take full responsibility. We were on the road after Christmas, so it was a tough time. We were feeling sluggish. And I'm like, Paul George, you got paid the bag, sir. You bought Christmas at this point. What are we talking about here? That's excuses. And this is what we're seeing consistently out of Paul George. This is excuses. It's ridiculous. This is game 2. You got paid $20 million at this point to show up and be the quote-unquote superstar talent that you are supposed to be. And what are we doing here at this point? Luke Canard got the bag for not playing a single game with the Clippers and did not do a single thing. 7 points, 1 3-pointer made. Like, this is unreal from this team. And I think it's funny because last season we were like, the Clippers, juggernaut roster. There's no way you can stop this. They fell apart. They blew a 3-1 lead. And we're like, okay, let's rebuild. They're probably the one Western contender that actually backtracked, in my opinion. And I think we can somewhat agree on that. We can debate on that. But it's just bad basketball. It's just not fun basketball. It's not LA basketball. I don't want to watch a Clippers game ever in my life again. Like, it's just that honest. Like, it's not fun.
It's rough to say the least. John, how you feeling?
God, let's hand it to your 2021 NBA champions, the Dallas Mavericks. No, I'm kidding, of course. But look, the Mavericks, I fucking annihilated them, and the Clippers annihilated themselves. It was a two-pronged approach to being absolutely hilariously embarrassing at basketball. I think that the Clippers consistently, I try to defend them, and every week I put on my clown makeup, I put on my little red nose and my giant rainbow-colored afro to say that Paul George is not as bad as we think and that this team could really put it together. And every fucking week they find a way to just make me look like I walked out of the fucking circus. Like, these guys are killing me. They're killing me. Paul George is ridiculous. Are you kidding me? You're like, I take full responsibility for this loss. It was Christmas. Like, what are you talking about? That's not what full responsibility means, Paul George. And, like, look, I get it. Kawhi was not playing. You don't, like, score 27 points and a half because your one best player is not playing. Like, if LeBron is not playing, they're still going to be probably, like, winning the fucking game. Like, if they have Anthony Davis running out there, like, if Paul George wants to be paid like one of the best players in the NBA, then he needs to play like one of the best players in the NBA every night. Like, I was really excited because in the first 2 games, he was really good. And I was going to talk shit to Kevin that Paul George was putting it together. And then he goes out and does this shit. It's like, what are you doing? Like, it's a clown franchise. It's a fucking clown. They walk out of their tiny little, like, 1 foot by 1 foot Mini Cooper, walk into the arena with their fucking size 37 shoes so that they can clown around and get embarrassed by whoever they want once a week. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, get it to fucking together. You guys are embarrassing Also, fucking go Mavericks. Luka Doncic with almost a triple-double in 26 minutes. This man is legit. He's very thick right now, and he's looking great. So that's it. I'm done. I rest my case. That was ridiculous.
Yeah. Final note. I'm pretty sure that John's more mad that he wasn't able to talk shit to Kevin than the Clippers actually losing by this much. Any chance that John can't talk shit to Kevin is a chance wasted. Let's just throw that out there for John. Oh my God! You know what? I wasn't expecting that much heat from John, but hey, we out here.
Yes.
Pissed. We're all pissed. But we're all very happy for Luka because he just dominates the world at this point. On that note, thank you guys so much for listening to the show. This was a brutal ending to, God, I guess, back to back, man. No, we played on Christmas. We're like, fuck off. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show. You can find us on Instagram and on Twitter at the D3Pod. We've got those fire memes from Meme Lord Kevin over here, so give us those likes for that. And then if you have any questions, anything like that, if you want to talk basketball, you can always email us at the d3pod@gmail.com. You can listen to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And of course, like, follow, subscribe on YouTube. We out here. Thank you guys so much for listening. Good night.
The official podcast of Paul George Snyder.